Shri Ramchandra Prabhu and many other devotees, we all are from that background. We came in Krishna consciousness just by hearing the glories of Shri Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Prabhupada. Me as a college student, just seeing the documentary, Srila Prabhupada's documentary, that very famous, that was shown to us in college. And just by seeing that documentary, so much inspiration. Who is this personality? Amazing. Amazing personality. And that attracted so many young ones like myself in young age. And then the whole transition took place. So just by His mercy, He is the root cause of most of us to bring us in Krishna consciousness. And I'm saying Krishna consciousness meaning to bring us here in Vrindavan, where Srila Prabhupada claimed, this is my home. He brought everyone to His home. So I'm internally indebted to such great personality, internally indebted, and seeking for His mercy and blessings. Want to hear His glories more and more. So today, entire day, as like yesterday, we heard the glories of our Guru Vargas. Today, entire day, in late morning program also, and in the evening program also. But today, assembly will be presided by Shripad Bhaktivedanta Shoti Maharaj or Shripad Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj. Please come on the stage and take over the assembly today. Hare Krishna. Pujapad Ashram Maharaj Ji ki jai. If you can sit here.
Om Jnanatimbarandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpaturubhischa Kripasan Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my most respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Diksha Guru, Om Vishnupad, Astottara Sata Shishmad, Srila Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj. Again, I offer my most respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Sannyas and Shiksha Guru, Om Vishnupad, Astottara Sata Shishmad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I offer my most respectful obeisances on the lotus feet of my Param Guru Devs, Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Astottara Sata Shishmad, Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Goswami Maharaj, and on this most auspicious Tirobhav Maha Mahotsav of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, I offer my most respectful obeisances. And I offer most respectful obeisances unto all Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and especially Tridanti Sannyasis. So, Siddhanti Maharaj, Pujapad Siddhanti Maharaj has very nicely opened with understanding of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. You please excuse me, sometimes out of habit, then I just say Srila Prabhupada, I mean here Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Maharaj. So, Srila, in Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he has spoken about the coming of his very near and dear associates to come and spread the glories of Harinam Sankirtan. It is stated, Pritivite Achayata Nagaradigram Savatra Prachar Hoibe Mornam, that in every town and village my glories will be spread. In every town and village, people will be chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he had that vision of devotees from the west, from the east, from the south, from the north, all over the world, coming together and chanting Jai Sachinandan, Jai Gour Hari. That he saw from his residence in Godrumdweep, that devotees from different nations, different ethnicities, chanting the holy names of the Lord. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura, he took that seed of a vision, and then he started to water it with his Gaudiya Math and the preaching mission. And he sent some of his very near and dear disciples to go to the West and to fulfill this order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that the holy names of the Lord will be chanted in every town and village. They met with some success. But one time, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Prabhupada, he was in place where they have Gaur Gadadhar deities in Navadvip. Not Godrum, Champahati. He was in Champahati. And he said that we have spent the lifeblood of our Gaudiya Math to send preachers across the world. But we have not achieved such a big success. He said, but I guarantee the next person that will go, that he will be successful. Then the devotee who explained this, he said that there were 10,000 devotees there in Champahati. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, when he said that, then he looked through the crowd, and there was one grihasta, one very simple grihasta, who was sitting there, and he looked him right in the eyes. That was Abhay Charan Vindam, our Srila Prabhupada. So then, by mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, being one of his arms, then Srila Prabhupada, as Maharaj has explained, he went to the West on the Jaladuta. He had only, something like $4 on him. And from that very humble beginning, being empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being empowered not only by Mahaprabhu, by Lord Nityananda, the Panchatattva, and all Gaur Paribars, then he started to spread Krishna consciousness, not only in New York, but he went to Europe. He spread Krishna consciousness in China, in Russia, in Africa, in Iceland, and he even came back to India, and he rejuvenated the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu single-handedly. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, that he is that Senapati, that general amongst generals of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has come and he's brought this message of love, which has brought together Westerners, Indians, Africans, people from North Europe, all over the world. So today we want to discuss the length, the breadth of the glories of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and also devotees like Vrindavan Vilasini Didi. They'll discuss the depth, as Srila Gurudev has always stressed, that when we talk of the glories of Srila Prabhupada, if we do not describe how he is a direct follower of Srila Rupa Goswami, that he's fully Rupanuga, that he's following Rupa Goswami as a parikara of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's also following Rup Manjari intimately as a maidservant of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. All these things we want to discuss. But first, I want to invite, we're very fortunate to have those devotees who were Srila Prabhupada's army, who went and they spread Krishna consciousness in every town and village on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. And because of that, now Krishna consciousness is a household word. That in America, the leaders of state, they know about Srila Prabhupada. In England, the Prime Minister, he goes and he bows down to Srila Prabhupada and offers him mala. All over the world, all know. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada, by his potency, he took devotees who, just like Lord Ramachandra, he went and then he got his army of monkeys and bears. And with this, he went and conquered. But these monkeys and bears, they're just playing a role. but actually they're demigods who have come. And they're playing this role with Lord Ramachandra in the same way. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Swami, he has his associates who came and they took birth in Western countries, in Eastern countries, in Southern countries, in Northern countries. And they played the roles of hippies, happies, druggies, and everything else. But through them, then we're here now and discussing the glories of Srila Prabhupada. So first, I would like to invite a couple. Srila Prabhupada, he preached also in South America and in Argentina, Buenos Aires. Then Nuru Hari, would you speak first? Okay, Nuru Hari Prabhu, he was one of the first devotees coming from South America. So we'd like to invite him to come and speak a few words in glorification of Srila Prabhupada. So the time frame is 10 minutes for each speaker, but Nrihari and Bhavatarini, they'll also do a song. So I think that between both of them and the song, they'll take 20 minutes. A little bit more or less. Huh? As you like. I'll speak something first. Okay. Here? I'll get my back to you.
After you speak, we'll bring the guitars and plug them in. And then
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschata Disatarine Nityananda Namastubhyam Premananda Pradaine Kalo Kalmashanashanaha Chanabhapataye Namaha Namo Mahabadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurajase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. First of all, I'd like to pay my koti dandanas pranam and offer my pushpanjali at the lotus feet of Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtatara Satra Shishimad A.C. Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Prabhupada, and equally to the lotus feet of my Shiksha Gurudev, Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtatara Satra Shishimad Bhaktisiddhānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Equally to my other Shiksha Gurudevs, Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtatara Satra Shishimad Bhaktivigyam Bharati Goswami Maharaj. Equally to the lotus feet of Bhaktivalabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, and of course at the lotus feet of Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnupara Ashtatara Satasi Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Siddhardev Goswami Maharaj, and pray for the causeless mercy to be sprinkled upon me. Equally, I want to pay my obeisances to Sannyas Khan, to the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, seniors, to all the audience, to them too sprinkle their mercy on me and their causeless mercy. To all of you, my pranams, Prabhus, Vaishnavis, guests, I pay my most humble obeisances at your lotus feet. To speak about such a glorious personality, it will take us forever. It's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says there is I just only picking one drop. I'm a little bird picking a drop of the nectarian deep ocean of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So equally his devotees are like that. They're an ocean of everything, mercy and pastimes, the lila. I just want to touch a little bit on some of the qualities according to what I saw when I first met Srila Prabhupada. And for many years I've been thinking, Gurudev, we had discussed this, why Srila Prabhupada kept his name given by his Guru Maharaj. So not too long ago, about a week ago, AC Bhaktisiddhānta. AC. And so Abhay Charan Arvindam. 1922, my Guru Maharaj met for the first time my Param Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Parashta Tarasatra Shishimad Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada. Immediately he was marked. And Param Gurudev said, you speak English. You must preach now to the rest of the world. One of the qualities he saw, he said, there's three things about Abhay Charan. He said, he hears well, he stays, and I marked him. So, Srila Prabhupada had a recurring dream in his Grihastha life towards the end of it, actually, that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura appeared in his dream and ordered him to take sannyas. He has already prepared him. So it was by 1932 that my Prabhupada received Harinam and Diksha, both initiations at the same time. And in the meantime, actually, for 10 years, Abhay Charan Arvinda Babu, like they will call him, was very involved into helping his other god brothers. He has two very dear god brothers, Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj and Bhakti Rakshar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And he assisted in forming their mats. So I'll fast forward to my personal experience, and in order to convey a little bit of what Srila Prabhupada was like. But like I said, I'm not able to comprehensively give you a picture of such an amazing personality. It was October 1973 that he, by his causeless mercy, accepted me as his disciple. And in December, I was the first, actually, with my sister. We helped open the temple. We were the first disciples of His Divine Grace. And I registered his society in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which was at that time a country very much controlled by the Catholic Church. So the atmosphere was very heavy. We had a lot of opposition, to say the least, to the preaching. Our God sisters and God brothers have sacrificed quite a lot. We sacrifice our youth so that we can propagate. And so, as Prabhupada said, my spiritual, he always gave honor to his spiritual master. He never took credit. And so that's how we were known around the world as Hare Krishnas, not as Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Maharaj's movement. No, it never was like that. And so it was 1973, since I got initiation, but the first time I met devotees was in 1971, and it was at Berkeley. I took off a year from college and traveled from Buenos Aires to Berkeley and California. It was my dream to pursue true love, freedom, and liberty, the ideals of that generation who was searching and didn't know didn't know the difference between lust and love. Very soon Prabhupada explained that to us and showed us what true love is. As explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the difference of lust is darkness and love is the selfless giving to the lover, the supreme lover, Sri Krishna, through the example of and the doings of Srimati Radharani and her servants. Those were the ones who came first here to Vrindavan. So anyhow, the reason why I joined, really, it was because I started reading when I went back to Buenos Aires after England. My dream always since I was a child was to find out who was God, what are we doing here? Is God always sitting on a throne as an old man judging everybody? That's what I would learn from Catholic Christian religion. And I wasn't satisfied, as the rest of my generation with seeing the materialism, the hypocrisy of our leaders. We were disillusioned. So that what made me join was the sannyas that came to open the temple. It was French Canadians. He had Canadians. He didn't speak Castilian Spanish, so he asked me to translate. Each time there was a class to translate and read the verse and the purport of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So that clenched it for me. I don't know the time. I can't see too well. So I became the editor, among other things. There was only about 3 of us in the temple, and then later on many we talked to came and joined. So I brought the 3 books that I had edited in Castilian and Easy Journey to Other Planets, Raja Vidya, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we brought him to Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles. And that's how we were introduced to His Divine Grace. My sister and I, who had met this senior, who had married this very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He first opened the conversation by my brother-in-law by saying, "Excuse me, Prabhupada, I failed you, I got married, I fell down." Prabhupada said, no, now you're 2, you preach double. So you see that the most important thing for Srila Prabhupada was to spread the glories of Harinam Sankirtan, the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, combination of Sri Radha Krishna. He gave everything to us in his books, but we didn't know really how to discover even the depth, truth of the message, what that Gauravani was. And so in a very, my first meeting was about the books. And so Prabhupada asked me to, I was so nervous. I had read, that actually Guru Maharaj is the outer manifestation of Paramatma. And so here I was in the presence of God, like servant. Shashad Haritona Shamastra Setsi is the same and different at the same time. So I was very nervous, to say the least. I didn't speak anything. I couldn't say anything. And Prabhupada kept motioning to me to come closer to him. Finally, I sat right there, and he was here in his desk, and he motioned. He could speak a word with his eyebrows and eyes. And so I realized, he wanted to see what I brought him. And there was the 3 books that I was clenching. And so I gave him to him, and he opened his eyes wide big, like, you've seen him doing that, and a big, huge smile. And it was like a child giving a store full of candy. It was, and so I realized the importance of him. And he proceeded to read the titles in perfect Castilian. So I'm thinking, wow, Prabhupada speaks Castilian, Spanish? And Prabhupada quoted a verse and looked at me and he said, Krishna speaks even the birds' languages. So that was the beginning of, and always my relationship with Guru Maharaj. It was always that he read my mind. I was very shy and in front of him and kept my very respectful distance. Nevertheless, he welcomed me always to stay in his room. Sometimes I spent all day, like in Mayapur, watching the world go by. Literally the world. Europeans, South Americans, North Americans. Of course, the local sannyasis and local blessed Bengali devotees. And so I seen him all day long, selflessly, giving. So yeah, everything he put in these books, but how to access them. Srila Gurudev Narayana Maharaj said, I have the key, I give you the key. In order to really understand the deepest truths. So, I don't want to take any more time, but one little story is that Srila Prabhupada, my Prabhupada, called me at 10:30 at night one night, my brother-in-law and myself, the two of us, we didn't know what was going to happen. And all day had been discussion about zones, and the Gour brothers were competing and fighting over the zones, and Prabhupada did not like that. He said, wherever there is two men, there's two opinions. So, but we all agree that we have to spread the cult of Lord Chaitanya. So please, go whatever. Even if we want the same town, okay, we don't get along, just go to that corner, you go to that corner, and you preach. And so, in that evening, Prabhupada called us, and my brother-in-law, Hanuman Prabhu, he comes in, and he said, Prabhupada, I don't get along with my Gour brothers. And Prabhupada laughed, and he said, well, I didn't get along with mine either. Although he did get along with two special ones, special Bhakti Prayagraj Goswami Maharaj, he considered him his Siksha Gurudev. So Prabhupada said, he looked at his hands and he counted like we do when we count Gayatri, 10 times. He said, 10 times I met my Guru Maharaj. But then he got very serious and said, but I follow the secret of my success, that I follow his instructions. His Vani. He put stress that his Bapu, he had received Bapu, his material, or not material, his physical presence of his Guru Maharaj, only 10 times. But he said, I follow his instructions. I follow his instructions. So, don't lament, don't be sorry. If the Gurudev said there's never late in bhakti, we can always pick up wherever we are. And that's a great mercy of our Guru Varga. So if he didn't meet Srila Narayan Gurudev, or didn't meet Bhaman Goswami Maharaj, or physically, but we have their instructions, and we have their servants. What more can we ask? They're honest, that Srimad Bhagavatam, devotees are honest, very honest, truthful people. So when they speak, they will tell you exactly, they're the via, transparent via media of them. Thank you, Prabhus, I'm sorry if I took a little too long. It was just touching a little bit on the glories of my spiritual master. Thank you very much. Om Ayanati Mirandasya, Ganachana Slakaya Chikshuvati. Vanchakalpataruyascha, Kripa Sindhuvecha, Patitanam Pavanya Vaishnavibhyonam.
Nri Hari Prabhu Ki Jai. So, don't worry too much about time, okay? This morning, we're going to just focus on the glorification. We'll try and keep everything as brief as possible, but I think we're going to go over time. So, Nri Hari Prabhu, he has touched on how Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Prabhupada, how he was so broad-minded in spreading Krishna consciousness, how he was so accommodating, that this is one of Srila Prabhupada's hallmark qualities, that he could relate with anybody. He could relate with the queen, or he could relate with the beggar on the street. And in this way, he was so tolerant with his devotees that he was able to bring them from the lowest of positions and just nourish them with so much love. One quick story, anecdote, which was given by Pujapad Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, that when some Western devotees had first come to Vrindavan, and they were staying at the mutt where Pujapad Bhakti-Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was. And one Western devotee, in the morning time, he was going to put on tilak. So normally you have your Achman cup, and then you take some drops like this, and then you start to put the tilak. But this devotee, then he just went, and then he just spit, and then he spat, and then he started to make the tilak, and then he started to put on with the mirror looking very nice. And then one brahmachari, he was looking, he said, Ore? And he freaked. He said, how can you do that? You cannot do like that. And then immediately, Swamiji, have you heard this story before? Swamiji, then he ran down, and then he stopped the brahmachari. He said, it's okay. He's new. He doesn't know. But slowly, he'll understand and he'll do. This is how Prabhupada was. Thousands of examples of how Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada said, at least he understands that he has to put tilak on. So he's made the first step. So in this way, he was encouraging. This is part of his blueprint. Now preachers are coming. I don't have much desire to preach. But so many of you have desire to preach. You study Srila Prabhupada. You study how he did. And you follow. The Mahajano Yena Katasa Pantak. He has already done everything. You just follow, you give honor, success is guaranteed. So another one of his success stories. Now we were in South America. Now we're going to go to South United States, Atlanta, Georgia, where he took the heart of another one of his associates who took birth there, Radharani Devi Dasi. Oh, you're going to do a song first? Okay.
Oh, so, okay, we'll plug yours. Yeah.
Directly? Okay, I can figure that out.
Thank you. Okay. We'll plug his in. My cord's too. Mine's too short. My cord is too short. I think mine's. It might make it.
Testing right here. Okay. Testing.
Testing. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare
And
Krishna.
then this one.
Actually, a little higher.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Haribo,
Krishna.
Haribo.
Haribo,
Thank you.
Haribo. Is my guitar- We're going to sing a song I wrote about 50 years ago from Srila Prabhupada. And it's in a songbook, coloring book. It's just been reissued by Rasa Bihari Lal. So it was first published in 1985. And this is the song about Srila Prabhupada. Make me happy, make me sad. So in the first verse, Radha's speaking, and next verse is I'm speaking. When I first sang it for Gurudev, he said, who is speaking? Because the first verses are Lord Chaitanya from Shishtaka, make me happy, make me sad, break my heart, make me glad. And then in another verse, I say, make me happy, make me sad, I love you, Prabhupada. He goes, who is speaking? And I said, oh, Radha or Lord Chaitanya is speaking the first verses, and I'm speaking the other. He goes, okay. Make me happy, make me sad, break my heart, make me glad. I love you, Krishna. I love you. You and me are never apart. You're always right here in my heart. I love you, Krishna. I love you. I didn't know that Krishna was God until I met you, Srila Prabhupada. Let me serve you, Prabhupada, eternally. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Make me happy, make me sad, break my heart, make me glad I love you, Prabhupada. I love you. You and me are never apart. You're always right here in my heart. I love you, Prabhupada. I love you. I didn't know that Krishna was God until I met you, Srila Prabhupada. Let me serve you, Prabhupada, eternally. Make me happy, make me sad. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
make me happy, make me sad, make me happy, make me sad, make me happy, make me sad. I love you, Krishna. I love you. So I just briefly wanted to speak about Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. So let me take you back 45 years ago, November 14th, 1977, on the Western calendar. At that time, I was living in Vrindavan, and Srila Prabhupada was very ill, and most of the devotees were in the Prasadam room at the Krishna Balaram Mandir when someone came in and said, Srila Prabhupada will be leaving his body in a few hours. Everyone come. So we all went into his bedroom, and I had 3 daughters at that time. I took them in with me. But I looked around, and none of the Gurukula boys were there. The teachers had jumped up. Everyone left their plates. We jumped up and we ran into Srila Prabhupada's quarters, where he was lying on his bed, not speaking. And the Gurukula boys were not there. So I went outside, and I saw my son and all the other students playing hide and go seek and rolling in the dirt. And I asked them to all come in to Srila Prabhupada's room, and unfortunately, only my son and my godson, Raghunath, my son is Vrindavan Das, they came. And so we were all chanting a desperate, tuneless Hare Krishna, trying to keep Srila Prabhupada with us. And the entire time, Yadubar was standing on a rickety chair filming everything. And I was behind Srila Prabhupada's bed, and no one was paying attention to who was sannyas, who was a woman, who was a child. We were just all chanting, and our attention focused on Srila Prabhupada as if our sincere, heartfelt chanting and our stares would keep him with us. But then, after some time, Srila Prabhupada exhaled with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and entered Samadhi. And his sister put a tulsi leaf in his mouth. Then we were all told to leave the room. And at that time, they changed Prabhupada's clothes to bathe him. And I was standing outside his room, and his sister, whom we called Pishima, which means aunt, she came out, and I was the only one standing outside his room for some reason, and she motioned me over. And just a minute. She brought Srila Prabhupada's dhoti that he was wearing out of the room, and she called me over, and she tore the hem off of his dhoti, and she handed it to me. The hymn to his dhoti. And she told me to keep this in a separate place and offer incense to it every day. And so this is my Thakurji, and I'm holding on to the hymn of Srila Prabhupada's dhoti so that he can take me back to Godhead. So after that, we all took Srila Prabhupada's divine form into the temple room and placed him on the Vyasasana, and we were told we need to all sit here with him until morning. And at that time, his godbrother Krishnadas Babaji began to sing Jayanela Premadana, but he was so choked up, he could not speak, he could not sing. So a very impressive sannyasi began singing Jayanela Premadana. And then he sang Shri Guru Charana Padma, and he led kirtan all night. And then before morning, he said, at sunrise, we will take Srila Prabhupada's divine form to the 7 temples of Vrindavan. And that reenactment was done yesterday. And then we will bring him back, place him in Samadhi. The next day, we will take his murti around Govardhan Hill, because his last request was to be... And so my husband said, tell them who that sannyas was, but I'm waiting, you have to be in suspense. So we will take his murti around Govardhan Hill, because he actually, on Govardhan Puja Day, he ordered a bullock cart, and the devotees bought it, but some of his disciples were just crying and saying, it will kill you, please don't go, please don't go. And they asked the Kaviraj, please tell him not to go. The Kaviraj said, oh, he can go, it won't kill him, he could take a flower airplane. But he acquiesced to his disciples, Srila Prabhupada, and he didn't go. So this sannyasi said, the next day after putting him in Samadhi, we will take his murti around Govardhan. And the third day, we will have, I forget how you pronounce it, Viraha Mahotsava. And I want 108 preparations made. And if you would like to make a preparation, come to me and I will tell you what to make. Does anyone know who that sannyasi was? Chai. So I went with a god sister of mine who spoke English and Hindi, because Srila Gurudev didn't like to speak English at that time. And she said, she introduced me. First we paid obeisances. Then she introduced me like a Western-style introduction. Srila Narayan Maharaj, this is Bhavatarini Devi Dasi, and she would like to make a preparation for the Mahotsava. So he told her in Hindi, and she translated to me, make crushed ginger, cooked in ghee with sugar. Later on I found out it was supposed to be Gour. But I also found out that when Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada were living together and preaching, that was the preparation Srila Prabhupada made for distribution on their programs. So after we took Srila Prabhupada around Vrindavan, Srila Narayan Maharaj, as ordered by Srila Prabhupada, stepped in and did everything. He just took us under his wing. And, I didn't mention he was only 55 when I met him, and it was, Kartik, he had black hair and a black beard, and I thought he was very tall and scary. And so we took, the next morning we took him, and he led the kirtan all through. He organized everything, led everything, took us to the 7 temples, and different people would come out, different shops offered garlands and artik. And yesterday, none of the temples came out to do artik to him. I guess they didn't organize it very well. But some of the very same shops from 45 years ago did artik and offered the murti garlands. And so he took us on that, and I actually had the mridanga from that kirtan until it disintegrated. But in some ways, that was the worst day of my life, because to us Western disciples, there was no choice. Maybe I'll accept this guru or that guru. Srila Prabhupada was everything to us. And, it's said that the disappearance is more celebrated than the appearance, because you already know all the Leela and all the glories of the personality. But for us, that day, we all became orphans. It was the worst day of my life. But then it became the best day of my life, because Srila Prabhupada sent Gurudev to take care of us. And he placed Srila Prabhupada in Samadhi. He wrote the mantras on him. And then the next day, we're at the temple waiting to get on the buses to go to Govardhan. And Srila Gurudev comes out from, I don't know where he came from, but he comes out towards the front gate of the temple carrying a brass murti of Srila Prabhupada on his head. And then we all got on the buses, and we did the 14.5-mile parikrama of Govardhan, and he led the kirtan, I think, the entire time. I had trouble keeping up, but I think he led the entire time. And then we had a prasadam picnic at Kusham Sarovara. And the next day, I cooked the incorrect ingredients, but I made the prep. And afterwards, there were 2 English speakers, Vishwambar, who was the mayor of Vrindavan at the time, also of Radharani, and Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Ban Maharaj. And I don't remember what Vishwambar said, but it was very nice. And then Ban Maharaj, at first we were thinking, he sounds envious. He said, it's not such a great thing that your Srila Prabhupada made so many Western disciples. He preached to the hippies. I would not preach to the hippies. He said, but his books, it's unimaginable that in such a short time he was able to produce 80 books, and these books are completely transcendental. And he went on to praise Srila Prabhupada's books. Then Srila Gurudev spoke in Hindi, and Anada was translating. And the only thing I remember is a very unusual statement, and maybe she was interpreting it wrong, but she said, Srila Gurudev is saying, "Do not be offended if people say that your Srila Prabhupada was a Shaktavesh avatar. He is." And later on I said, everyone says, oh, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was the first to proclaim him Shaktavesh avatar. And then someone else says it was somebody else. But I said to Gurudev, you're the first one to proclaim Srila Prabhupada Shaktavesh avatar. He said, yes. So I think that's a good spot for me to stop. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Sorry I took so long. Please forgive me for any offenses or anything I spoke wrong.
Bhavatharini Didi, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So, Bhavatharini Didi, she has now broadened the understanding of the close relationship, the intimate relationship between Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Narayan Maharaj. Another disciple of Srila Prabhupada, her name Mula Prakriti, she has written one book, Srila Prabhupada, A Friend to All. And in this book, she relates this pastime, that when Srila Prabhupada was about to leave, then he sent his disciples, headed by Tamal Krishna Maharaj, to Mathura to meet with Srila Gurudev to learn the whole process for the departure of spiritual master, all the different procedures that had to be done for the samadhi, etc. When Tamal Krishna Maharaj and the devotees, they came back, Srila Prabhupada said, have you learned everything? They said, yes. Then Srila Prabhupada, then he asked, you call Narayan Maharaj. And then when Gurudev, he came, and Srila Prabhupada, I don't know if I'm mixing up stories, but Srila Prabhupada, he asked him to sit, and Srila Gurudev paid his obeisances to the place where Srila Prabhupada was asking him to sit. And then Srila Prabhupada, he said to him, I can't remember verbatim, but he told him that now that they know, but I want that you should make all arrangements for my samadhi. Even though he had sent his devotees, his Diksha disciples, to go and learn everything, but at the end he said, no, I want that you should do. That this relationship between Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada is showing us how close Srila Gurudev was to his heart. And then when Srila Prabhupada left, as Bhavatharini Didi has narrated, how Srila Gurudev was there through the whole process, that he came, he sang Ye Nilo Premadana. Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, he could not finish. Gurudev, he finished. And then Gurudev, he did Prabhupada's samadhi, all the details. Then he came out with Srila Prabhupada's murti, and he led the devotees, leading kirtan, and took them to the 7 temples of Vrindavan, took them to all the shops, and then took them, Prabhupada did Govardhan Parikrama with all the devotees. And then after that, Srila Prabhupada, he came to the West, and he saved us. Oh, did I say Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada, through Srila Gurudev, he came to the West, and he saved us. How Gurudev is carrying on the mission and the desire and the energy of Srila Prabhupada. Only because he has been blessed by Srila Prabhupada like this, Gurudev, he was so successful. And this was his own words. So now I want to invite another disciple of Srila Prabhupada who will be able to take us more into the relationship between Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. Not just their preaching Leela, but their Madhura Leela as maidservants of Srimati Radhika. So I want to introduce Vrindavan Vilasini Didi. And this book is available. So many pastimes are here. They're having this book available. Any donation you want to give, you give, and you can have this book. It'll be here tonight also.
That's for you, MC Wala. Sure.
Hari Bol. Vichitri Didi handed over me these books. Say on this auspicious day, anyone can approach her and can get these books as a gift from her. Ras Panchadhyay and Padyavali. She wanted to distribute to anyone who can come to her. Hare Krishna.
Well, you're doing great. It's okay. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari Radhika Raman Radhika Krishna Vanamali Giriju Ki Jai Ho Om Agyana Timarandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Namo Mahavandanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tavashe Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my heartfelt Puspanjali to my spiritual master, my Harinam Diksha Guru, my mother, my father, my Pranadhan, my everything. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is so extraordinary. And why? We can understand from his appearance. He appeared on Nandotsav. Nandotsav. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That's the birthday of Krishna. And in India, as you know, everyone gives gifts on their birthday. So Krishna, I'm sorry, he gave a very, very special gift. He wanted to give this gift. And so what did he do? He went to his most beloved, his most special Srimati Radhika, and he begged her for one of her kinkaris. And so she gave. She gave. And so Srila Prabhupada, who is none other than an intimate associate of Sri Rupa Goswami, who is the leader of the kinkaris, Sri Rupa Manjari, he was given to the world because the world needed this. The world needed someone who had so much Shakti. Who has more Shakti than the maidservants of Srimati Radhika? No one. Krishna himself falls at the feet of the kinkaris of Srimati Radhika. Doesn't he? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told us this. In fact, Krishna is the property of the maidservants of Srimati Radhika. So this personality has so much Shakti. Madhurya Shakti, the topmost Shakti, because all the other, they're included within Madhurya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, Sakya Ras, Dasha Ras, but Madhurya Ras, this is topmost. This one includes all other rasas. So Srila Prabhupada was imbued. He was How do you say it? That's who he is. He was the embodiment of, as Srila Gurudev coined the phrase, Braj Bhakti Rasa Sar. The essence of Braj Bhakti Ras is this mood of the maidservants of Srimati Radhika. There is nothing more. This is the essence, the topmost, the most secret, the most confidential. So Srila Prabhupada was the embodiment. So he's even more than the Saktivesh avatar of Nityananda. He is the embodiment of Braj Bhakti Rasasar. Because in the school of Nityananda, that's here in this material world, the school of the gurus, Akhanda Guru Tattva, which is headed by Nityananda, there's a special section of Rupa Goswami. These are the Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Srila Prabhupada was one of those, as we hear, he's a follower of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Rupanuga variety, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada was the embodiment of this. You cannot imagine what it was like when Prabhupada would walk in. I was in ISKCON Los Angeles for 17 years. I was initiated in 1972. I was one of those lowest of the low hippies. Very, very degraded. Extreme, I can't even tell you how degraded I was. But Srila Prabhupada, I'll tell you very quickly because it's so extraordinary, how he was able to, all over the world, no matter where he was embracing all the conditioned souls all over the world. He had disciples in Brazil who never met him externally, ever. And they are still extraordinary devotees. The nishta that Srila Prabhupada instilled in his devotees is unprecedented. Unprecedented. What he empowered them to do, which is by Guru Nishta, which is the backbone of bhakti. Guru Seva. What did he teach us? You stay in your temple. He had a Prabhu Dattadesh. Mine was Los Angeles ISKCON. You serve me. You serve with love and affection, selflessly. When I joined, I lived in a room, a big room with 35 ladies. Boom, 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 boom. One toilet, one shower, one sink. That was it. But we were so happy. We were so happy. We would run to Mangal Artik, and we were just dancing and dancing. We had 300 devotees. We were really fired up. Yeah. And we didn't even have our own clothes. We'd just pick a sari out of the barrel, you know. Yeah, this was it. Unconditional surrender. But we were happy to do it. We were so grateful. So great, because that is the essence, isn't it? Gratitude. If you have gratitude, that's the essence of love and affection. I was so miserable. I was so happy to be picked up from the deepest, darkest of ignorance. I don't know what would have happened to me if I hadn't met Srila Prabhupada. Really. And so I was so grateful to Srila Prabhupada to giving me that happy life that I had looked for as a hippie. We had been looking for the flower, peace and love, but it was not that. It was hell. It was the darkest of ignorance. So when Srila Prabhupada came in like with a shining lamp of knowledge, a torchlight of knowledge, Prem Bhakti. Not only that, the topmost Braj Bhakti. He always talked about Braj. So when Prabhupada would walk into the ISKCON temple in Los Angeles, you felt Vrindavan was coming. You just could feel Vrindavan, the whole place. And then when he walked out of the temple, he left some Vrindavan there. We were in Vrindavan. He was talking about Nanda Baba, Yashoda, Radharani. And in the temple, he established who? Not Lakshmi Narayan, not Sitaram, usually, every now and then, but mostly 99.9%. Who? Radha and Krishna. And there's Radha and Krishna all over the world because of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada established, and what was one of his first books? Krishna book. It might say the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which it does. We needed that. But it was the Vrindavan pastimes, the first book, and then later the Mathura and Dwarka. But the Vrindavan pastimes, because he knew he might not finish the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he wanted us to understand Krishna, Braja Vrindavan Krishna, Radhakant, Radha Rasa Bihari. These are the names of his deities all over the world. Radha Rasa Bihari, Radha Damodar, Radha Govinda, Radhakant. Can you imagine in the lowest of the lowest? I mean, we were killing our mother and eating our mother every day, not thinking anything of it. The cows. Nothing we didn't understand. And he brought Gaurnitai so we would become qualified. Gaurnitai in every temple. Radha and Krishna and usually Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra. So we had Ratha Yatra. Krishna taking, Radharani taking Krishna back to Vrindavan in every country of the world. Amazing. And you can't imagine, I was there in San Francisco for a few of the Ratha Yatras. And it was unbelievable because most of the personalities, there were hundreds of persons there, and most of them were not devotees. They were all right off the street. And they were singing and dancing and in ecstasy. Your smiles were from ear to ear. They were so, and they were, and Prabhupada was so happy at what had happened and what he was able to offer to his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura, to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Nitai Gaur Gadadhar. He was offering all these conditioned souls at their lotus feet. He was so humble, actually, but he was so happy. And he spoke in English everywhere. But I do want to tell you one story because it's so incredible, actually. It's how I met Srila Prabhupada. I was a hippie, and I was living in one city, Seattle, Washington. And my parents lived 1 mile from the ISKCON temple that Prabhupada had started himself in 1968. But this was 1972. And so the temple president said, how would you like to meet someone who loves God more than anyone else? And I didn't realize he meant Prabhupada, because I was a spaced out hippie, you know. I like to chant Hare Krishna, yeah, that was great, you know, singing, dancing. I was in the middle of a desert as a hippie. And what happened? In the middle of the desert, somehow or other, someone taught me to chant Hare Krishna. All of us there in this hippie commune were dancing around the fire going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know, we didn't know what, and we were singing the Tulsi prayers. This is Prabhupada standing under the tree in Tompkins Square Park, and it was going everywhere. He didn't have to be there personally. The holy name was dancing around the world. Dancing around the world. Mahaprasadam would just float in. I was taking, I don't know where it came from, and I was eating Mahaprasadam from some temple somewhere. Really, you can't imagine the potency of Srila Prabhupada. That's how he could do it so quickly. He published the Chaitanya Charitamrita in 2 months. Maybe it was 2.5, however it was. 2 months. Can you imagine? That was in Los Angeles. We were going day and night, day and night. Anyhow, back to my story. So I rode in a car with the temple devotees to another place that was about 6 hours away, Portland, Oregon. And I'm just dressed up in a sari, but I don't really know anything. And I'm standing inside the airport. And this is 1972, June 8th. And a small plane comes in, and you're looking out the window. We're not close by. And all of a sudden, the door of the airplane opens. And this is far away. And Prabhupada comes to the door. And I could just see that Prabhupada was totally effulgent. He gave that mercy. And I could see he was not walking on the ground. And I could hear him talking to me. Can you imagine? I could hear him saying, I love you. I will never leave you. And I could feel my soul waking up. And my soul was going, I love you. I will never leave you. Like that. And then all I could hear was the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for hours. Every blade of grass, every person, all I could hear was the Hare Krishna mantra. It went away after some time. It never came back again. It's not like I was a pure devotee overnight. I wasn't. But he gave, that's why I'm here. Prabhupada never leaves. He never leaves anyone who accepts him. Doesn't matter if you're a Diksha disciple, Shiksha disciple, you just have some faith in him. Prabhupada will never leave you, ever. Even some of his disciples who try to leave him, he would not let them go. He does not leave. He's the Shiksha Guru for the entire universe. Unbelievable what he made this foundation. And then the greatest gift he gave, of course, was Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami and our beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. He gave that gift because he had only spent a very short time with us externally. But he never left us. He was always there, watching, guiding, and he was bringing us where? To Vrindavan, to the lotus feet of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, because he said this is his home. This is our home. This is the home of Radha and Krishna. This is the home of Rupa and Goswami. Rupa Goswami is Sanatan. He's Rupa Nuga. And we have to become part of the family of Rupa Goswami. They are the proprietors of Vrindavan. Without the mercy of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, we cannot be in Vrindavan. Impossible. And then to go deeper into Vrindavan, Prakat Vrindavan, Aprakat, Rupa Manjari, Labanga Manjari, Vinod Manjari, Kamala Manjari, Nayanamani Manjari. We have to get that mercy of Rupa Goswami. And Srila Prabhupada, one of his first books, Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction. That is the law book. Of course, we have the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya, but Upadeshamrita, Vacho Vegam. And what was Prabhupada's movement? The Hare Krishna movement. How do we control Vacho Vegam? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because if we don't quit criticizing, quit chastising, quit trying to be the controllers by our Hare Krishna, other than Hare Krishna, blah, 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 we're never going to make it even into this Vrindavan. We'll be caught in the net of Maya here, aren't we? We get caught in the net of Maya right here in the Dham. We can feel the Dham, but do we see the Dham? Are we in the Dham? No, because we're criticizing all the time, This is the problem. Finding fault everywhere. The rickshaws, the dirt. Oh, this guy looked at me cross-eyed. Oh, he didn't honor me properly. All this, we have to give it up. We have to give it up to be accepted by Rupa Goswami. And finally, Nitai Gaur Gadadhar. And finally, by Radha and Krishna. Prem Seva, assisting our Guru Sakis in their Prem Seva to Radha and Krishna. This is our goal, Radha Dasyam. But it begins at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. And this is what Prabhupada taught us. This is what our whole Guru Varg teaches us. Start with the teachings of Rupa Goswami and all of his followers. Or we will just be going around birth after birth, if we're lucky as a human being, still chanting Hare Krishna, but maybe lower. So please, we must take it seriously. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarvishya kripa sindhu bhyavicha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
We're doing good for time. Very good.
I did pretty quick. That was quick.
That was quick, but very powerful. Very powerful, very touching. She has touched so many points, so many points. So she has been speaking, Vrindavan Vilasini Didi has been speaking, how Srila Prabhupada, he is following in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami. We see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to give this Unata Ujjwala Rasa Swa Bhakti Sriyam to the world, and to give Harinam Sankirtan, then he has picked his very near and dear associate, Rupa Goswami. That who is Srila Rupa Goswami? Srila Rupa Goswami is very dear associate of Srimati Radhika, Shri Rup Manjari. In the same way, for this to spread the glories of the holy name, but the speciality of the holy name that's being spread is that it is imbued with the mood of service to Radha and Krishna, specifically in the mood of kinkari, manjaris. So, definitely, Srila Prabhupada, that person who has been picked by Srimati Radharani, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura, then definitely he must be in that mood of Manjari Bhav. So, though he came with such deep mood, but for his preaching, then he came and he spoke on very, very simple topics. She has explained Vacho Vegam, Manasokroda Vegam. But Vacho Vegam, Manasokroda Vegam externally is very simple, but is very, 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 very deep. Very deep. And by Srila Prabhupada's preaching, then he has touched so many people's hearts, especially through his books. We see what is the potency of Srila Prabhupada's books. That devotees who never met Srila Prabhupada physically, but just by coming in contact with his books, they have totally surrendered their lives to him. They have given up everything. I know one devotee. He is from Africa, and he was living in France. He was studying Srila Prabhupada's books. And then he thought, I'll go to the temple and I'll go and surrender to Srila Prabhupada. When he went to the temple in France, his name is Nuruhari. He went to the temple and he found out that Srila Prabhupada had left the planet. He was so heartbroken, he was just crying and crying and crying and crying. He said that I will not surrender to anybody but somebody like Srila Prabhupada. That Srila Prabhupada, just by his books, he imbued the type of surrender that devotees like Vrindavan Vilasini, Shoti Maharaj, Padmanabh Maharaj, Shashikala Didi, that they gave up everything and they gave their life to him, life after life after life after life after life. Thousands of devotees, they never even met him, but they gave up everything like this. What kind of Shakti, what kind of potency? This is coming from the maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So now another one of those devotees who has been so inspired by Srila Prabhupada for decades and for lives into eternity, I'd like to ask Shashikala Didi to come and offer her Shraddha Pushpanjali.
जो लोग हिंदी सुनना चाहते हैं उनका ट्रांसलेशन हो रहा है। आप अपने फ़ोन पर चैनल 108 पर आप वो कथा सुन सकते हैं।
It's important for the devotees to hear the glories of Srila Prabhupada from his disciples. Our Srila Gurudev said that our Srila Prabhupada extracted an unprecedented level of nishta, Guru nishta, from his disciples that we have not seen even since the time of Shankaracharya. So I noticed that a lot of devotees are not here. But on this day, the day of our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, it is absolutely essential that his glories are not only spoken, but they are heard and that they are repeated. So I just wanted to make that very clear. So if you don't understand what they're saying in English, find a translator in Hindi or Bangla so that you can hear the glories of Srila Prabhupada. Do you want to stand or sit?
Sit.
Come this way further because you might be distracted. Sorry. Shashikala Didi is the last official initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So she's his babyest daughter. She can speak Hindi. And she can speak Hindi.
ना आज मेरे बड़ा बड़ा परीक्षा तो फेल हो जाएगा पक्का. तो sorry, I will speak in English. Namashrestam manumapi sachiputram atra swarupam Rupam tasya grajam urupurim maturim gostavadim Radha kundam girivaram hao radhika madavasam Prapto yasya kripaya shi gurum tam natosmi Om agyanati mirandasya gyananraya shalakaya Shakshu anmilitam gyanatasmai shri gurave namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Tinamine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shishimad Bhaktisiddhānta Narayani Tinamine Vansha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha tavaivasmi na jivamedvaya vina iti vignaya radhedvam nayanamam sharanantiktam Bhaktya vihina haparad lakshaye Shiptastamadi tarongamadhe Kripamaidvam saranam prapanam Vinde namaste charanaravindam Vinde namaste charanaravindam. So first of all, from the core of my heart, I offer my most grateful and respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my Savior, my Sri Harinam Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishtam Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Goswami, my Srila Prabhupada. In the same way, I offer my most grateful, countless obeisances at the lotus feet of my Diksha Gurudev, Bhajan Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishtam Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, to my Shiksha Gurudev and Viragya Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishtam Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, to all the Rupanuga Guru Varga, to all the assembled Vaishnavas, headed by the sannyasis, Brahmachari, Vaishnav and Vaishnavi present, my senior god sisters and god brother. Please, by advance, you may forgive me because I'm not a speaker. I'm just a little last baby of my Srila Prabhupada. So there would be so much lacking in his glorification. So you please forgive me by advance. I beg your mercy. I beg your blessings. And I was a little inspired 2 days back that it is 100 years. 100 years ago, when my Srila Prabhupada was 26 years old, he first met his most worshipable Divine Master, Nityalila Pravishom Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada, in Ultadanga Junction in Gori Lane, his first temple, the first Sri Gaudiya Math, when he came with his friend Narendranath. They were young, they were fighters for Gandhi, they were supporters of Gandhi, but Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada, as soon as he saw them, he could see the potential, and he said, "You young boys, you are educated. You should go and preach the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world." My Srila Prabhupada was a little fisty. He said, "We Indian, we are under the dependency of English colonization. How we will be accepted all over the world as carrying the teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Indian culture? That will not happen. First, India has to become independent." So Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura replied, "No. The emergency is for Krishna consciousness. There would be so many politics and governments, but Sri Krishna consciousness is eternal, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaching and mission must be established all over the world. And as soon as possible, there is a need." Srila Prabhupada said he was very much impressed by the boldness of this great saint. Prabhupada was not interested having really meeting with saffron cloth sannyasi. They were coming always to his house because his father, Gour Mohan and his mother, they were very pious, very Vaishnava. They would serve so many people. So he could see line and line of saffron cloths, and he said, "They only want money, they only want this, that." He was not interested to go even to his master, but that time when he heard Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada's determination to save the world, then he said, "From the core of my heart, that very moment, I accepted him as my divine master. I had my full faith in him." It took him. So he stayed for 2 hours at the feet of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada. And when they came out, his friend said, "So, Abhay Charan, what do you think?" "Oh, it was wonderful." This is what Prabhupada said. It was so wonderful. He received Diksha, Harinam Diksha in Rupa Goswami Gaudiya Math in Prayagraj in 1936. Gaudiya Math had started in 1918. And Srila Prabhupada, you see, it took some time before he received initiation. Everyone is running for initiation very fast, but Srila Prabhupada was in the eternal Nitya Parikar of Radha Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, waited. He showed us there is time for everything. So anyway, in his heart of hearts, how Srila Prabhupada carried the first instruction of his master. And today we are celebrating his Tirobhav along with his divine master. There is not one country in the world who has not heard about the Guru Parampara. He brought his divine master, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada, all over the world, and his Abhirvav is being honored, and his Tirobhav also. He brought his Gurudev, his master, even though he had been criticized by his god brother that why you've taken Prabhupada's name? That was not your property. But the mood was, yes, I take my Prabhupada's name because he will be glorified by thousands and thousands and thousands all over the world. Ki Jai! And when he would hear Prabhupada, he would be transported, remembering the lotus feet of his own master. There was never any fault in this. Anyway, he also spread and distributed lavishly, generously, the love and compassion of his divine master. There was not a day, there was not a breath that he forgot his divine master. He said, I never felt separation from my master because I always feel his presence at every moment. This is eternal relationship between the Nitya Parikar, Srimati Radharani Kinkaris. They all know one another in the Golok Vrindavan, Braj Vrindavan. So when people are telling that my Prabhupada is not a Kinkari of Radharani, I will object. What gives you the right? You take him out from the Rupanuga Guru Varga. You know what means Rupanuga? Rupanuga means who is 100%, 108% followers of Rupa Manjari. How dare you taking him out? Take him out from Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura line also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because they're all Kinkari, they're all Manjaris. Take him out then, why? Why not? Why not? But who gives you the right to minimize the position of Srila Prabhupada, who has brought Srimati Radharani all over the world? They were Radha and Krishna all over the world. Murtis, they were selling all over the world. But there is one Murti who was never all over the world. Is Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nitai Gour. My Srila Prabhupada is the one who brought Gour Nitai all over the world. There were some Jagannath Baldev Subhadra in shops also. We have stories. But we never heard about any Gour Nitai. Because Srila Rakshakshida Goswami Maharaj told in front of the whole assemblies, he said, your Prabhupada is a Nityananda Shaktavesh avatar. So only a Shaktavesh avatar of Nityananda Prabhu, who is full of compassion for the most degraded like me. Only he could establish Gaur Nitai all over the world. And so this is the preaching. Pritivite atse yatana garadigram. Sarvatra prachar hoibe mor nam. Srila Prabhupada brought Gaur Nam all over the world. There is nothing he has not done for this planet. In all the continents of the surface of that globe is resounding this Harinam. Even in Antarctica, I heard they go on boat amidst the ice. But the holy name will be spread all over the world, and that was the compassion, the love of all his Guru Varga, headed by Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Thakura Prabhupada. So, I'm a baby, you know. What Maharaj told, that I never saw my Srila Prabhupada with those eyes. He came to me through his books in Turkey, in Istanbul. I was a hippie. I got the Krishna book #2. When people would tell me, what is the goal of your life? I say, want them, #1. And believe it or not, when I came back to Paris, my birthplace, a friend of mine, she said, I've got something for you. The Hare Krishna people came to my shop yesterday. I think it's for you. And she gave me Krishna book number 1. In French, Golden Dream, not pocket book. I received pocket book in Istanbul. But how Krishna came, beautiful, hardcover, blue, with the golden dream. How Prabhupada saw that this fallen soul only can be saved by me. So anyway, I received my Shri Harinam, 11th November 1977, had joined in January 1977 after my tour. And I heard Prabhupada's voice at 3:30 in the morning. Take now or never. I woke up, I thought, what is this? What is this? Take now or never. Prabhupada sent one lady devotee, I am taking Harinam today. Do you have a new sari for me? I said, yes, I have a silk sari, purple, I remember. I gave it to her. I just had delivered my firstborn, Narad Muni, 13 October. So on 11 November 1977, Govardhan Puja, I received Harinam from Srila Prabhupada. I was the first called up. Shruti Maharaj was the last one, so he said, I am the last one. Yes. So, anyhow, this is what I'm saying. It's over. I just wanted to make a data that you know where I'm coming from and how I got with. Prabhupada accepted this fallen soul, and I'm trying. You please bless me all. I can try to serve Prabhupada, our Guru Varganam, all my Diksha Gurus, my Vaishnavas. That's all I want in this world. You please bless me. One second.
Now we are actually officially running over. So we have one more speaker. And Shashikala Didi, she was explaining how she never physically met Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada, he was imbued with so much Gour Shakti that even if devotees didn't meet him, but still, they were imbued with that Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Sudhida Nishchoy. Krishna Bhakti Kole Sava Karma Krita Hoy. They had this faith that no matter how low a life the devotee was, and no matter how many times the devotee would fall down, there's one thing: they never lost faith in Srila Prabhupada, and that was Prabhupada's transcendental potency. This is Guru. That regardless, what is your situation? You know, as devotees have said, my Guru will never leave me. My Guru, he's always there with me. So, when Shashikala Didi, she took initiation in France, this was the last initiation. Actually, she was the first person to be initiated. But the last initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada is here with us. His name is Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Maharaj. So Sarasvati Maharaj, this person here is a legend. Let me tell you, he's a legend. That when he first joined, his name was Richard Legrand. I still remember, Richard Legrand. Why? Because he was a famous book distributor. He would distribute hardback Bhagavad Gita, 1,000 in one day. I can't even, it's unimaginable to me. 1,000 in one day. How possible? Wait, but then, okay, but all I want to say is that as he received so much mercy from Srila Prabhupada, I saw that the person who received most mercy from Srila Gurudev, in my eyes, is Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Maharaj. So we want him to come now and conclude the session. And the next session at 11 o'clock, Padmanabh Maharaj will speak, Mahabodhi Prabhu will speak. Who else? Tirthapada Prabhu will speak, and some other sannyasis, Sajan Maharaj will speak, Bhagwat Maharaj will speak. So take prasadam and then you come, and then this is first part, and then we have second part, and then evening part. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati Maharaj ki jai. He was Gurudev's bodyguard, but we see that Gurudev was actually his bodyguard and has given him so much strength.
Black belt.
One time, he's a black belt, karate. So then in ISKCON, before we came to Gurudev, there was a big thing going on where they were speaking Guru Tattva. And then the Bengali devotees, they were going to attack him. He ran into my room. He said, "Oh, I've never had a fight in my life. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?"
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Agyaniti Randasya Gananjana Sharakaya Shaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Ajanulam Vitabhujo Kanaka Vadato Sankirtane Kapitalo Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijabalo Yugadalma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Vataro Kanaka Jaradagatro Niraso Navjanetro Mrigabarabarabaro Marati Kundamaro Tarara Taruna Vesho Nilapitam Baresho Smarani Britani Kunje Radhika Krishna Chando Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my unlimited Dandavat pranams in the dust of the lotus feet of my spiritual masters. Nityalila Pravisham Vishnupa Shishimad Bhaktisiddhānta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Nityalila Pravisham Vishnupa Shishimad Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Nityalila Pravisham Vishnupa Srila Bhakti.
একটু চুপ থাকবেন रमणी प्रभु सबको चुप करा दो अभी हरि कथा हो रहा है ना Ask them to please keep quiet and sit down and hear Hari Katha.
Gour Govinda Goswami Maharaj, Nityalila Pravishna Vishnupa, Shishimachara Bhakti, Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, all our Rupanuga Guru Varga, all Vaishnava and Vaishnavis headed by Sanesigan, please accept my Dandavat Pranams, begging for your causeless mercy. So you heard Sashikara Didi. And huh? Oh.
They're serving there.
So you can see the emotional feelings of love and affection for Srila Prabhupada that everyone this morning had expressed directly from the core of his heart. And I am in the line of Sashikala. We got initiated the same day. She was first called, and I was last, maybe the last of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, because that was 3 days before Prabhupada left. So she always said, I was called first, and you were called last, so I am senior to you. I said, yes, of course, but one secret you don't know, they kept the best for the last. But I still feel that she is senior than me, because she's always giving me chastisement. And I love this chastisement because it reminds me of Srila Prabhupada's mercy on me that I was never be able to meet him. When he came to London, I had money in my pocket to go from Paris to meet him there. And my authority said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to London to meet Srila Prabhupada. He said, no need, he's coming to Paris. I'm going to go and bring him to Paris. No need you to go. So I agree with my authority. I was new devotee. Then Prabhupada never came. He was very, very sick. And he had to go back to India. But Prabhupada knew I was very, very much desirable to meet him. So what happened next? When I was one time, every day was sleeping in the temple before Mongol Aarti, and just before the alarm clock to wake up to go take shower and go to Mongol Aarti, Prabhupada came to me in a dream. And I was only 3 days in the temple. He came to me in the dream, and in the dream I saw Srila Prabhupada. He was putting his hand on somebody's shoulder. I didn't know that devotee, but I knew that Srila Prabhupada was coming in my dream. And Prabhupada, he just, without me asking anything, he put his foot on my head in the dream. And I felt the ecstasy coming down. But the ecstasy stopped there at this place. I thought this ecstasy should go down to the last limit of my toenails. So I asked Srila Prabhupada in the dream, could you please put your 2 feet on my head? And he did it. He put his 2 feet in my head, and my bliss his bliss came and touched my feet. So I woke up just the next moment, and I was smiling like never before. Then after some times, Prabhupada, there was a international marathon to please Srila Prabhupada by distributing his books. And I was not even initiated. And we were in a place where we could distribute books very nicely. And my authority, they gave me so much information about book distribution. So I distribute books, and every day, hundreds and hundreds of books was going on. I remember Prabhupada's mercy, and that mercy came to me in that service of distributing books for his pleasure. Many years after, when I met Srila Gurudev, and I said yes, then he showed me the page, and I saw how Tamal Krishna Maharaj was actually describing how in France we distribute the books during this marathon. He said, in 1 hour we did as much as we used to do in 1 day. And in 1 day we used to do as much as we used to do in 1 week. So that was very intense. And Srila Prabhupada was listening to the results, and he was not saying anything. Then at the end, Prabhupada said, therefore we don't want liberation. We want to follow in the footsteps of the Goswamis. We want to live with pure devotees. That was the result of our distribution, books distribution, and the report that Prabhupada got. That was a conclusion of this book distribution. So I told my devotee, ISKCON devotee, I said, you see, this is what Srila Prabhupada wants me to do, and I am doing this. In this way, he was completely silent. So Srila Prabhupada never, ever kept anything for himself. He was completely Kinchan and Akinchan. Whatever gift he used to receive, he used to distribute those gifts. He used to give everything, from the littlest, most insignificant thing to the highest. He gave everything, and he got everything at the same time. When he came to Mathura, in Vishamgat. He had lost already all his businesses. Then he came there, and Srila Gurudev came with a brahmachari or two and saw Srila Prabhupada in Vishamgat. And he asked Srila Prabhupada, what are you doing here? You come to the temple, I'll give you a room. You can preach there also. So Prabhupada agreed. They took his suitcases and bring it to Keshavji Gojamat. In Keshavji Gojamat, Prabhupada was giving lectures every day, Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Gurudev encouraged him day after day after day. You're going to go to the West and you're going to preach. So you need to take sannyas. You need to take sannyas. And Srila Prabhupada was a little bit apprehending about taking sannyas. But Gurudev, he pushes. And when Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj came, then the whole thing takes shape. And Prabhupada was now about to take sannyas. And he took sannyas from Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. And from that day, Prabhupada's desire to preach to the West, in the West, became very, very intense and prominent. So we cannot say that Srila Bhaktisiddhānta, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj was not, how you say in English? Instrumental. And Gurudev also, that Srila Prabhupada should go to the West. So we are very indebted to those Vaishnavas, and we are in those line. And Prabhupada also was one of the founder of this Bhakti Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. He was one of the members. So he is also in our line in Gaudiya Math. And he also gave the guest, he was himself the best gift on Nandulāl to give to the world. But he also gave us Srila Gurudev. The day before he left this world, he gave Srila Gurudev to all of us. So the plans to spread Krishna consciousness from the very first day when Srila Prabhupada left India to go to America to the last day, that was Prabhupada's mercy to all living entities. Now we see that we are indebted to him. And day by day, we can understand that our debt to him is increasing at every moment. What Prabhupada taught, not only spiritual, religion, or any other topics, but he preached everything to every devotee. How to, conduct your life, how to be clean, how to take prasadam, how to distribute books, how to please, our Guru Varga by so many services, how to be conscious at every moment of the needs of, our services being offered to our Guru Varga. He gave us everything, how to produce vegetables in our communities, how to do all these things one by one. As babies, he taught us how to behave and how to grow up. So we are very, very indebted to Srila Prabhupada. Now we see that we have to wind up this discussion today because we need to do this Guru Puja for Srila Prabhupada. Everybody is waiting for that. So I will turn my discussion now today. And I think that Prabhupada can bless us coming to in our lives, whether by dream, by direct experience, by spoti. Prabhupada will be there and his fame will grow unlimitedly to the end of the Kali Yuga. So we are very fortunate to have come in this Krishna consciousness, and we want to be there eternally at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we'll have Guru Puja, and devotees can do Pushpanjali. And then after there will be breakfast prasadam. And then the next session will start at what time? At about 10:30. So, as I mentioned before, Sajjan Maharaj will come. Okay, say 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. But next session will be even more of a session, actually. So just to let you know, have good breakfast, rest a little bit. So we can have Guru Puja now? Okay, Maharaj? Padma. Jyoti Maharaj. Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, bolo. Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada.
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bando Mui Savadana Mate Yahara Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Yai Yahara Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Yai Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya Akya Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya Kya Ana Koriyo Mane Asha
Alarna Kariya Mane Asha
Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati
Shri Guru Charane রোতে তমাগতি
শ্রী গুরু চরণে রাতি এসে উত্তম গতি
শ্রী গুরু চরণে রোতে সইসে তমাগতি
প্রাসাদে পুরে আশা
প্রসাদে পুরে সর্ব आशा
चकुदाना दिलो ये जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
चकुदाना दिला जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
चकुदाना दिलो ये जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
चकुदाना दिला जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
प्रेम भक्ति होते अविद्या विनाश
होते जहाँ होते अविद्या नाश जाते
भक्ति होते अविद्या विनाश
होते जहाँ होते अविद्या नाचे जाते
यहार चरित
और बेदेगाय यहार चरित
बेदेगाय यहार चरित
और बेदेगाय यहार चरित
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर
गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु
गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु
गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु लोकनाल कर देवना लोकनाल कर दे
घुसु त्रिभुवना
तू आ जाओ घुसु त्रिभुवना
पाद लैलो शरणा
तू आ जाओ घुसु त्रिभुवना
श्रील गुरुदेव पतिता पवना
गुरुदेव पतित पावन
श्रील प्रभुपाद पतिता पवना
और प्रभुपाद पतित पावन
जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभु
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद
जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभु
गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर प्रमानंदे निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग
Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga
Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga
Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga
Nitai Gauranga Jaya
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Gaura 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 Hare Gaura 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 Oh Gaura 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 Hare
Hare Jaya Gaura Hare
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hare
Gaura Hare Gaura Hare
Gaura Hare Jaya Gaura Hare
Gaura Hare Jaya Gaura Hare